and welcome to Rainbows Rising, where we ascend together. I am your host, Rainbow Raaja, and today I'm going to be talking about how to start building new paradigms, new ways of thinking, new belief patterns. Throughout our life, we pick up certain patterns from other people, through conditioning, through society. And when we are living in these patterns, we have a tendency of kind of drawing the same situations to us. Because we are looking at new beginnings, because this month we are exploring the ego and better understanding the ego, I really want to bridge that gap by teaching you how to work through your ego impulses and how to build new habitual paradigms through your mind, through your actions. So where we begin with that is it's really important to understand what our ego is and what drives it. Our ego is a part of our primal, I guess the best word for it is programming, our primal initiative of our body to receive what we crave, to receive our desire. We follow this ego because in the past, it would keep us satiated, it would keep us safe, and it provides us with little boosts of serotonin and thrill-seeking hormones. And the problem is as we are evolving spiritually and physically as a species, our ego is not always in our best interest, because our ego also is tainted and influenced by our ancestral wounds, by our past life memories, by our actual biology and our hormones and the pheromones, by karmic ties, karmic debt. And so when your ego is having to sort all of these different energetic strains of information, it can get jumbled. It can get very confused. And that's why it is important to learn how to clear all this stuff out, how to reset your mindset, how to reset the paradigm, how to break these cycles and habits so that you can start fresh, so you can start to be the power in where you are going. A lot of times we say, oh, we can't stop eating sugar because it holds this power over us. Like, I'm addicted to sugar. I'm addicted to cigarettes. I'm addicted to this. I want that person so bad. I can't live without them. Oh my gosh, if I don't get that raise, I'm going to die. All of these things are projections of our ego. These are projections of what our ego mind, our primal desires, our primal, directives project as necessary for survival. It's what we put value into for our worth. So it's important that when you feel those things come up, when you feel something that is out of your control, whether it be an emotion, whether it be a drive, whatever it be, and you can tell the difference between an unhealthy drive and a healthy drive. Because with a healthy drive, you can always take a moment and assess how that makes you feel in your body. With an unhealthy drive, there's always a feeling of not wanting to deal with it. If you're quitting smoking, if you're quitting, you're going on a sugar cleanse. At first, you're like, I'm going to cleanse myself. I'm going to quit. I'm not going to do this anymore. But about 2-3 days in, you get intrusive thoughts and impulses. You want to give up. It has control over your physical body, over the emotions you feel, over your, over your drive to do other things. Whereas if you have a drive, you're like, I really want to draw. If you were to stop and say, okay, well, I'm going to hold off and see if drawing is for, an ego impulse. You hold off for a day, you're not going to go into a stress-filled fit not drawing. You might really still want to draw, but you're not going to have a panic attack to give yourself an excuse to draw. So that's kind of the first way to know if you are acting from an ego place, is if this impulse is something that you don't conceptually understand. Like being addicted to sugar. Sugar is bad for you in excess. You know that it's going to impair your health. But yet, you do it anyway. The only reason you do it is you like the taste. You like the feeling that you get immediately after consuming it. But then you have guilt. But then you have regret. And you kind of are upset with yourself for, giving into your baser, feelings of impulses. And so that's a good way, a good parameter for assessing whether or not your ego is in control of that particular scenario. This can come up in so many situations that maybe you wouldn't even think. If you're someone who has commitment issues because you were hurt in the past, ego might make you feel like you need to break up with your partner for no reason. You'll start having totally pointless fights with your partner. And you can assess whether or not this is ego by, do you remember what you fought about? Do you? Do you remember what it was you were fighting about? If you don't, it was you projecting a wound. Your ego was trying to get some kind of benefit from that scenario. And a lot of times you just will feel fired up for no reason. Was it even important? Is it really important who did the dishes yesterday? So, first and foremost, just to kind of recap, is it logical? If it's logical, I want to draw because that sounds like fun to me. I feel like drawing. Versus I want to eat sugar because even though I know it's really bad for me, my body needs it. I need the sugar. I need the nicotine. I need whatever. So, yeah, there's no logical reason behind that. There just isn't. The second is, do you have regret or remorse? Do you feel negatively afterwards? I like to say 3 days. If you have a 3-day window of you had a big fight with your partner, they don't really know what the fight was about. You don't really know what the fight was about. And you feel negatively about it several days later. It was ego driven. Whether by them or you, someone's got a wound and it is being ego driven to benefit in some way. So once you have determined whether or not a drive, a desire, something that you want to do is ego-based. Once you've determined that it is ego-based, that is when you can start to do the reprogramming work. When you're reprogramming, you're looking at that behavior and you're going to give it value. Now, we're not talking about going, oh, yes, sugar, it's so valuable like gold. No, like different type of value. You're going to look at the behavior of desiring this action, desiring this object, desiring whatever it is that your ego is motivated by. You're going to give that a value. And the value is determined by what the wound is. Like, what exactly is fueling your ego self? And you can have a conversation with your ego self. You can get into the mindset of the situation or the particular habit you're trying to break. You can feel it in your body, and you can kind of dive deep and meditate down into that space, listening to your body, picking up on any visions you're getting, any intuitive feelings you're getting. You could even put that on paper. You could draw it. You could write it. Do some automatic writing in regards to it. There are so many ways. It's called reflective work. You can do mirror work in regards to it. But this is like shadow work stuff. So please look into your reflective practices if you don't have them. That's like a whole episode in and of itself. But your goal is you're going to do some deep diving. You're going to dive into why you have this pattern. And once you know why, you can replace that pattern with a positive pattern. So for example, if I'm trying to quit sugar and, I want to make sure that I'm rewarding myself for quitting sugar. I'm going to say, you know what? I don't need sugar anymore. I'm going to do some kind of, not necessarily a ritual, but if you're into that, do a ritual. I'm going to write myself a letter. I'm going to sign a little contract. I'm going to make a verbal agreement with myself. I no longer need sugar in my life. I am done with the contract with sugar. I don't need it in my body. I would love to visit sugar, but sugar is no longer a resident in my home, in my body, and I would like to send sugar on its way. All right? So I've made that decision. I am concluding that. So I'm going to bring it into the manifest, into the third dimensional world, whether writing a letter, writing myself an agreement, burning it, singing it, saying it, whatever your method is, do it. And then replace that action with something positive. So maybe instead of eating sugar, every time I get the inclination to interact with sugar, I am going to instead dance. I'm going to go downstairs, I'm going to pop a record on my record player, and I'm going to dance. Passionately dance. I'm going to dance whatever sugar craving I had. If I felt like Oreos, I'm going to dance the Oreo dance. If I'm going to draw an Oreo, maybe drawing an Oreo will help. But your goal is that you are rewarding yourself with something that is giving you that same rush that's a healthier habit. A healthier habit. Something that you might want to start incorporating. Maybe taking a walk. Maybe instead of that box of Oreos, you want to have 3 strawberries with a tiny dollop of whipped cream on top. And it is being consistent. Every single time you reward yourself with that new activity, with that new action. And this is how we can train our ego. This is how you can take back control. And with more and more practices and habits that you break through the reflective work and replacement of desires, you can quiet down that ego, and the ego will be able to trust your judgment a lot more. And I'm not saying we're separate from ego, because the ego is really just our shadow self. It's our primal part of ourself that helps us stay alive. It's our mind versus our spirit, right? And so it wants us to survive too. It wants us to know we're okay. And it is constantly doing its best to provide that. But if you can provide it instead, it won't have much of a job, and it can sit back and relax for the first time in ever. I know my ego is much quieter now than it was 5 years ago because I've done a lot of that work. I quit cigarettes. I stopped doing all kinds of, I got more into healthy eating. I did, I walk now. I do a lot of dancing. I'm a lot more physical. So these are ways that you can break bad habits, that you can change the narrative, is through these kind of replacement practices. So while you're doing that, you are creating new beginnings. You'll see parts of your life. We talked last week about spring cleaning. And I'm sure if you did the practices of dumping some of that stuff in your house out, you probably noticed that new opportunities, new people, new things came into your life immediately upon dumping stuff out of your house, out of your life. Dumping old, sad stories and narratives, and you dump all that stuff, and you're going to get new friends. You're going to get new coworkers. You're going to get new information, new insight. Wonderful, wonderful blessings into your life. And it's much like that when you start realigning your energy into a place where you want to be. We all have things that we are ashamed of, things that we don't like about ourselves, things that we want to change. These are practices that can help you do that. But you have to clear the space. You can't buy a grand piano if you have boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes of junk in your room. There's no place to put the piano. You got to clear it all out. Okay? So, yeah. I mean, that's pretty much, I just wanted to give you guys a couple of practices to start working on your ego. Start being more aware. Just start noticing when that ego comes into play. A lot of times our ego brings baggage with it. You can feel that baggage when that ego steps into power. When that ego says, hey, I'm going to take over. And you're like, wait, what? Ego, no, step down. No, don't do it. And then you have kind of a mess on your hands. So you can start to recognize, you know what? That was an ego moment. You know what I'm going to do to make sure that I have more control over situations like that? I'm going to start replacing these ego moments. I'm going to have a talk with my ego. I'm going to do a meditation. I'm going to, go ahead and meet up with my ego and tell him what's what. I'm going to set a contract up with him. I'm going to say, hey, you can't do this anymore. And speaking of that, I'm going to go ahead and do a super, super short visualization. This doesn't have to be a meditation. If you're driving, if you're doing anything intensive, you can do this with your eyes open and just use your imagination. Just use your mind's eye and go through the notions. And if it becomes too distracting, please go ahead and skip the last of the episode. But I'm just going to give you guys a super easy practice just to try it out, see how it works. Let me know what you guys think, okay? So just take some deep breaths and arrive in your body. Notice the edges of your skin. Notice the temperature. Is there a breeze? Do you have any cold spots? What do you see? Where is your gaze? I just want you just to breathe into your body and bring yourself to this present moment. Don't think about what you have to do in 10 minutes. Don't think about all the other things you could be doing tomorrow. Or, what you wish you had done yesterday. Just bring all your attention right here with your breath. The rise and fall of your chest. I just want you to imagine standing at the base of a staircase. It's a well-lit corridor. You can see it curves up and to the right. We're going to go ahead and start up those stairs. See where they lead. I'm just going to step 1, 2, 3. Starts to curl around the corner. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Here you are. The staircase opens up to a white room. There's nothing on the walls. There's just a desk. And you can see the back of an armchair beyond the desk. And come on into this new room. And you have an awareness that you are meeting with your ego self. And you're just going to walk up to the desk and you're going to go ahead and sit in the small chair before the desk. And that chair on the other side of the desk slowly spins. And you see your ego self. Does this person look like you? Are they somebody completely different? Take in their features. Just really observe the way they look, the way they hold themselves. Because the way they hold themselves, the way they present themselves, says a lot about their motives, says a lot about what drives them. So you can go ahead and introduce yourself. Let them know that you are here to work through a specific pattern or a habit. Just go ahead and pick a habit or pattern of yours that you don't like. Maybe something that you've been meaning to address for a while. You haven't had the time. You didn't have the tools. You didn't know how to go about it. So for me, I'm just going to pick, something about spending some extra time on myself, some self-care time. I'm going to let this ego self know that that's what I want to do. So what are you going to do? Let them know. You just let them know really gently, hey, I want to work on this. I want you to really listen to what they have to say. If you don't hear what they have to say, feel what they have to say. Feel it in your body. Do they support this? Do they want this new habit, or do they want to end this old habit? Do they want to change this behavioral pattern? If they do, ask for their cooperation. Ask them to let you have control over your actions for a while. Give it a timeline, saying, give me 1 month. Give me 1 month. I ask that you do not respond to these triggers for 1 month. Let me have control. Or you can ask that they instead do a different pattern. Hey, instead of eating sugar, I would really like ego to instead want me to dance. To nurture myself, I would really like ego to let me know that I need some self-care by making me really tired. Just really tired. Just for a few moments so that I'm aware I'm needing self-care. How is your ego responding to that? Are they receptive? Are they combative? Are they reserved, resistant, ecstatic, excited? once you've established the conditions in which you would like to change your ego patterns, go ahead and make either like a shaking agreement or a handwritten agreement. Let them know that this is important to you. Put it on paper, put it in writing or shake on it. Share your thoughts with them. Share your passion. Thank them for all that they've done for you. The ego is not an enemy of ours. The ego can be a tool, can be an ally. You must recognize that it is a part of you and that it can be commissioned to do certain things, to facilitate certain actions. And when you've addressed all that you need to address in this meeting, say thank you, shake their hand, give them a hug, and go ahead and just turn right around and walk back down the stairs. 10, 9, 8, 7, curling around that left bend. 6, 5, 4, coming to the base of the stairs. 3, 2, 1. And you're back in your body. Just become aware of your surroundings. And, like I said, you didn't have to close your eyes. If you did, I hope you enjoyed that. If you didn't, well, I hope you enjoyed it too. Reach out to me. Let me know what you thought of that meditation, of that visualization. I'm really grateful for you guys tuning in and listening. Anyway, I hope you guys are super excited for our guest at the end of the month. His name is Nitin, and he is going to be sharing how he bypassed his ego and how he was able to find the divine nature within him. So I hope you stay tuned through the rest of the month and, that you keep your eyes open for that interview. And I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. It is such a pleasure to be able to, share these practices with you and to ascend with you, ascend together with you. So, yeah, just blessings to all of you. I love you, and I hope you guys have a beautiful, beautiful week. Bye. Are you ready to ascend to the next level? This is Rainbow Raaja, your spirit guide calling. Please be sure to keep all arms and legs inside your vessel at all times. I'm just here to remind you to take some time today. Support Rainbow's Rising podcast. Go. Join the Discord community. Check out the Patreon. Get some stickers, custom tarot cards. Check out the merch. The merch. You know you want to. Go connect with Rainbow Raaja. Maybe even get a session. Who knows? Your support helps make this show possible. And she loves to support you. Help support her too. Once again, this is Rainbow Raaja, your spirit guide, guiding you to your ascension.